Hi, I'm Dr. Sean Kniff. Some of you might remember me from the first season of Survivor. Some of you probably don't, because that was 30, 40 pounds ago, if you can imagine. And now I think it was 10 to 11 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I don't even remember. But I was on the very first one, and I lost to Chubby Naked Richard. If you remember that season, I lost by by 3 days actually. I got fifth place technically, but I lost by just 3 days away from $1 million. So that explains why I'm pitching this show to you, because I still got to work for a living. After Survivor, I worked for CBS News for probably 10 years doing medical reports. Also worked for Extra and a bunch of other media outlets, and I've been on and off the air in the time since. And I'm also a board-certified neurologist, working at two very busy hospitals in Miami. I used to practice in New York also, but that explains the white coat and the scrubs. And I apologize for this very low-tech television pitch, but Bennett asked me to put something together, and I figured something improvisational like this might better showcase my personality, which is kind of fun considering I'm a big fat science square, but a real science geek. But I figured that this might showcase some of my personality, which might be more beneficial to you guys. I'm not really sure. So I'm recording this by myself in a place where I read brain MRIs and EEGs at one of my hospitals, and I also wrote some notes. See, right here? Some notes here for this television show. I figured, hey, if our president could rely on his teleprompter, I could rely on my post-it notes here. But I sent Ben an email. I pitched him a lot of ideas, all of them great, by the way. I don't know why he's not doing them, but all great over the years, about all different kinds of reality shows and science shows and different types of programs, actually, some of which I would be involved with, some of which just need to be done. But anyway, I came up with an idea the other night when I was driving home from work, and I decided to tell Ben about it. And I call it Secret Science, the science you never learned about in high school or college or whatever grade you ended your education at. But basically it's the science of declassified programs, and some of which are still classified programs, as well as a lot of other fun stuff that you never really learned about, never thought about, and might make a really interesting television show. So let me take a look at my notes here. The first one I want to talk about is mind control. Did you know that our CIA and other government organizations actually had in the, I think it was the 1950s, they had a secret government program called MK Ultra, which was actually illegal, at least by today's standards and world standards and UN standards, just about everybody else. But it's called MK Ultra, like the drink, where we were exposing prisoners, spies, and a bunch of other malcontents on. We were basically using them for drug experiments to see if we could get any truth serum, trying to invent a truth serum out of them, exposing them to PCP, LSD, a whole bunch of other drugs, torturing them by various means, all of which to see which was the best way to elicit a confession or best way to get the information we needed to get. And this was declassified fairly recently, but it was a product called MK Ultra, and it would be a very interesting program in and of itself. Also, what about brainwashing? We've all heard about brainwashing, you know, about cults brainwashing, different different intelligence organizations brainwashing people, turning people into double agents. Does it work? And what the heck is the science behind brainwashing? Oh, one more thing, I forgot to say about that MK Ultra. The MK Ultra program, it involved, get this, 88 institutions, including 44 universities, all in this illegal activity. So it's really fascinating. Also, hospitals and pharmaceutical companies, too. Keeping with like intelligence and government types of programs, we could talk about cloaking devices, including this invisibility cloak that can make soldiers invisible, supposedly on the battlefield already. Can make soldiers invisible, can make planes invisible. Just the technology behind those invisibility cloaks we can talk about. We can do stealth technology. The only thing I know about stealth technology is that those planes look pretty cool. But the reason that they look pretty cool is actually very important to why they're stealthy. Because there's no acute angles on one of those planes that it actually scatters the radar. In fact, that they're obtuse angles. And because the radar hits it and then it scatters the radar. Very interesting. And I know you're thinking, well, wait a minute, the fuselage of a regular plane is round, but it has right-angled wings coming off of that, which makes it very very detectable on a radar. But that's not the only thing that makes stealth technology stealth technology. Oh, my brain disappeared. Not this one, that one. Or other things that they're developing right now that I've read about, drones. Drones, not, we all know the ones that are bombing people to smithereens throughout the world, but I'm talking about ones that are very tiny, about the size of a mosquito. They're called insect drones and mosquito drones. Not only do they have spying capabilities, they can appear on a wall and listen in on everything, but they can actually deliver a fatal dose of some kind of medication if we need to do that kind of thing. Electromagnetic pulse weapons. You don't think you can live without the internet for a little while, but what if something, how real are these weapons, and how close are we or other nations to perfecting them? That's really important to know, and I want to know what would the real effect be, and how do they work, and it would turn off everything that we know. It would send us back to the Stone Age, according to some reports. And here's an interesting thing. There was a book written a while ago called Germs, and this is what really got me interested in biological warfare and some of the science behind it. It was probably published in 1995 or something. I read it a long time ago. But Germs, the governments of South Africa, Russia, the United States, and Israel all had very big biological warfare programs, and some of these weapons were aimed at targeting specific ethnic groups. Isn't that amazing? Something you didn't even know, right? But that's really amazing, and that is documented, and it's very well documented in the book I mentioned to you, Germs. So, and it's written by 3 Pulitzer Prize winners. So it's a really fascinating book. And they go into this really scary. If you think Ebola is bad and something to worry about, you gotta read about brain pox. Yes, brain pox. It's really scary stuff. So we could talk about some of that, but it wouldn't all be so grim. We could talk about the psychological experiments. I'm sure you've all heard about Harlow's monkeys, where they take these little baby monkeys and take them away from their mother. They put them in a dark room, and how do they grow up? And what does that say about society today and people who are disconnected from their parents, their fathers, a lot of fatherless children out there? What does that say about what's going on in the world? Milgram shock experiments and Dr. Zimbardo's experiments with prisoners. But Milgram shock experiments with obedience to authority. Someone walks in with a white coat and tells you to shock somebody who's in another room. Guess what? You're going to shock them. We could take it to the world of tech with evolving robots. Everyone was reading about a robot that needs to eat to keep functioning. Can you imagine? Only vegetarian, so don't worry, only vegetarian, but still needs to eat to keep working. It's a self-sustaining robot, and it's built with artificial intelligence that allows it to evolve. We could also talk about artificially intelligent robo-soldiers that are in the process of being developed. We don't have to limit it to intelligence or warfare or anything like that. We could talk about other worlds with teleportation projects that several governments are working on right now, including our own. Time travel, they're actually trying it. I'll believe it when I see it, and they'll do it all over again probably in the year 2050. But, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm really fascinated by this one, Lake Vostok. If you've never heard of it, it's a subglacial lake, I think the largest in the world, underneath the ice sheet in Antarctica, and it's 4,000 feet of ice sheet thick, 4,000 feet down, so 13,000 feet or so, 4,000 meters, 13,000 feet or so down in there. And guess what? This lake has been sealed off from the world for 25 to 50 million to 125 million years. I think that's what it is, 25 to 125 million years. We don't really know, but that's how long it's been sealed off, with its own evolving ecosystem underneath that dark ice sheet. And guess what? When the Russians drilled all the way through and they punctured through it, I think a year and a half, 2 years ago, there was life down there. Interesting. The U.S. government reportedly has a secret space program. So does Russia supposedly, and who knows? The Chinese are working on everything. But they're next. But a secret space program. Some people even said that we have space planes already that are active with space pilots that travel to Mars and back. I don't know if I buy it, but it'd be worth asking those kind of questions. But we can also do some fun stuff. We want to do some fun stuff. We can do the Coca-Cola secret formula. Scent marketing. This is interesting. Every time you walk into Victoria's Secrets, that cinnamony smell that you get? Well, that increases blood flow to your genitals, and also might make you more likely to think of sex and more likely to buy some of their stuff. But this is a big, big marketing scheme perpetrated by big business to make you buy stuff maybe you wouldn't ordinarily buy if it smelled differently. So scent marketing is interesting. How scent can influence your purchasing power. Or we could just even take it to subliminal advertising, how it's being used today, how it's been used in the past, and did it really work? And then we could talk about maybe a little bit about social media. The one thing that sticks out in mind is there's a lot of very interesting connections. Not to go down too far down conspiracy drive with you, but there's a lot of interesting connections between Facebook and the CIA. And if you're a student of the Cold War, like I was growing up, but if you're a student of the Cold War, very interested in this stuff, that they used to pay the agents for the KGB and the CIA lots of money. Oops, my brain went away again. Let's get that brain up. Oh, close down. All right, we don't have any more brain. The CIA in Russia used to, the CIA and the KGB used to employ a lot of people to gather the information that we just freely give out there. Who we're associating with, why we're associating. Some people even think Facebook was invented by the CIA just because of this data collection. One thing is sure. Government agencies and our own government as well as foreign governments are using the data there to figure out who we are and what we're doing and what we're likely to be doing in the future. How much do you put online and how much are you going to put online after our show? Anyway, the show is called Secret Science, the science you never learned in high school. That's really about my pitch. If you want to see what I look like, this is what I look like up close. My video here says that it's about a 10-minute video. I'm not sure I can send that over the internet, so now I got to figure out how to do that. Okay, I'll see you later. That's it.